Hey all, welcome to part two of our Battle Ready Masterclass, working on cancer prevention as well as knowledge of how to um, look at cancer possibly in a different way than you have in the past. Um, One of the things about the second part today is we're going to talk about a lot of um, treatments and action steps. We spent a lot of the first part looking at how what's happening and really ultimately a way to look at your choices, your options, things that you can do to be the very best version of yourself. But I said that as we transitioned here, we would talk about inflammation because um, there's a couple of things on your blood work that are completely complementary that, in my opinion, should always be tested from your doctor. One of them is vitamin D, which most of you probably already get tested. Without spending a whole lot of time on it, your vitamin D level should be over 50 and less than 100. The ideal numbers, depending on what studies you read, should be somewhere between 60 and 90. The reason that's so important for you is pre 2020, give or take, the acceptable range for vitamin D levels were 30 to 100. And then it was changed with, in my opinion, very minimal or very poor research to 20 to 50. And we'd have to go down a long path talking about corruption and questionable activities within a certain medical association and that we certainly don't have time for that. But ultimately, here's the short version. Vitamin D levels in your blood over 50 show a 50% or more decrease in at least 12 different types of cancer. So that's getting outside, that's getting good air, that's getting sunlight on your skin, that's your body metabolizing it, or that's consuming it in a supplement that's a high quality supplement. So not the cheap vitamin D that's sold at Walgreens, but actually a high quality vitamin D supplement with high absorption rates. So again, to summarize, vitamin D, you want your vitamin D level over 50, and that's free to have checked at your doctor. The second one, and the reason why I have it up on your inflammation and cancer slide, is that C-reactive protein, or CRP, is one of the markers that can be done complementary on your blood work that can show your total body inflammation. Now, there's not a drug or something to lower your inflammation, but it's kind of like a report card. If you know you're not doing as well as you need to, potentially you can make a change or make a difference. So, inflammation and cancer, their linkage is, I would say, interesting because um, inflammation is not necessarily a cause of cancer, but essentially it shows that there are increased stressors in the body. And if there's increased stressors in the body, it may inhibit or may negatively affect replication of cells. And as we talked about at the start of the first masterclass, apoptosis, programmed cell death, cell replication, and dying or deteriorating at the right times is important. And then there's also the immune system effect if that does not happen. So if you have higher inflammation levels, that's linked to basically every major disease. It's linked to heart disease, it's linked to cancer, it's linked to stroke, it's linked to all of it. So inflammation, we'll go over some of the causes of that here, momentarily, starting with these 5 habits that contribute. So as most people are aware, the current American diet that's recommended and worse consumed, because it's worse than recommended, is very poor. Way too many carbohydrates consumed, way too many chemicals, preservatives, food colorings, additives, way too much toxin filled things, which would be, for instance, like, well, we already talked about processed foods, but also like non-organic dairy, non-grass fed meats. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that's really hard on your body. And then lastly, cooking oils. So most cooking oils are incredibly inflammatory for your body. So to be simple, because we're going to try and cover a lot of content today, most of your food should be getting cooked in either grass-fed butter or coconut oil or avocado oil. Those are the 3 main oils. There are some other ones. And if you'd like a more detailed description, look up on our YouTube channel. Look up our recipe night or our Nutrition 101 seminars that they go into a lot more detail with this. But avocado oil, coconut oil, grass-fed butter. You can use olive oil at low temperatures or raw, but those are big factors in your body producing cancer. The next one is stress. So stress levels weaken your immune system, among many other things. So allowing things to stress you out. There's lots and lots of studies on de-stressors, whether that's going for a walk, whether that's quiet meditation, whether that's prayer and going to church, whether that's exercising, but there's lots of healthy habits that lower stress levels, but stress levels are linked to cancer. Going off the exercise routine, I mean, sedentary lifestyle, not being active, that's everything. Exercise and working out does everything from detox your body to produce happy hormones, which are linked to having lower rates of cancer with better serotonin rates in the body. You know, there's just so many things linked to exercise. And so it's being sedentary, not having even the strong enough heart to pump things through and out of your body are linked. Toxin exposure, we covered quite a bit. And as I mentioned, if you want more information on toxic exposure, look up some of the podcasts and articles from Dr. Zach Bush. Great resources. Also, there's the old classics, or I call the old classics, for 15 plus years. Two really good sites for more in-depth things are Mercola.com and GreenMed Info, which again have been actually government whitewashed. They've been under the source of a lot of scrutiny, but lots of articles, lots of research in there. But toxin exposure, I mentioned this earlier, but for instance, Roundup being sprayed on Roundup Ready corn and Roundup Ready beans and so many other pesticides and things that are sprayed on food, they wreak havoc in your digestive tract and they can cause a lot of damage. And again, are linked to things. And then lastly, sleep. Sleep is predominantly when your body heals. There's the more you read on sleep, there's deep sleep, there's REM sleep, there's a variety of different things that happen during sleep, and everything from neurologic reset to helping your brain not age as quickly, to the physical repair of joints, physical repair of tissues, physical repair of organs. Not getting enough sleep or significantly inhibiting that sleep with medications, sleep aids, alcohol or THC, or some of these things that they might be legal, but they're not good for your sleep. Also, things like sleeping with the lights on, not sleeping in a dark room, sleeping in a loud area, having a television on or screens on right before you sleep, all can inhibit the quality of sleep that you're having. So, 7 to 9 hours. And I'll tell you, we do this training seminar, and I go to quite a few of them. And, so this is I'll say several hundred to 1,000 plus person, survey that we did. Probably the largest thing that knocks people out of sleep is that they watch too much TV. They don't have a minimum standard for when they turn the television off at night. And so they stay up binge watching or periodically binge watching. And again, if you want more information on sleep, look up our sleep masterclass that was done at the beginning of this year. Again, the easiest way to find it is go to Chiropractic First of Rockford on our YouTube channel and just type in Chiropractic First of Rockford and sleep, and you will see that sleep seminar. It's excellent. Now, moving beyond this and really talking about some of the most common treatments, of course, we're going to talk about prevention. And so you can, let's say, quote unquote, treat cancer before you even know you have it. Because like we talked about in the first seminar, on average, it takes 8 years from when your immune system fails to find and kill those cancer cells to when they multiply to even be detectable on the most sensitive tests that we can currently have in our medical system. And so that still is technically catching it early and way earlier to catch it than certain times. But there is just a reality that there's a lot of quote unquote treatments that should be done because they're not just treating cancer. They're actually really allowing your body to get healthier. And so, One example that I heard in a seminar that I was watching is they talked about in a lot of areas when the focus is on preventing war, war still breaks out. When the focus is more on ways to stimulate peace, there's a higher percentage of peace. And I'm not here to debate that quote necessarily, but to think about it from a same, you're not necessarily trying to prevent cancer, you're trying to build health. So, what are the building blocks? What are the minimums that you need to build health in your body? And so, you'll find that after we talk about the common treatments and minimally address, let's say, success rates, when we talk about common treatments, what are they mostly have in common? They're not necessarily for one condition. They're to help your body build health. And so, before I do that, though, I think it's important to look at the treatments that we have, because the most common treatments, and again, in some cases certainly necessary, but the reality is they're more of trying to prevent war with military force. So it's something that in general they're more drastic. Additionally, they all have significant side effects, so that's another thing to consider. And I'm not saying they're right or wrong. That is for you and your family to make. What I'm stating is many people think that there's only one option, and there are so many holistic treatment centers now. There are places in Rockford that have holistic treatment options. There are lots of places in the suburbs. There are places in Mexico and overseas that maybe staying out of our country for a very specific reason. But there are lots of options for treatments, and there are lots of people who have had lots of success and long-term success, because the reality is that success in the cancer industry is considered a 5-year success rate. That's considered being cured, even if that cancer was growing silently, still comes back as the same form and still kills you down the line. Technically, you were cured of cancer if you lived 5 years cancer free. So something to think about. It's not that if you have cancer and you cure it and die from a heart attack, that's not success. Success is making it 5 years. So without further ado, and without spending a ton of time, I addressed this one already. So surgery, probably the lowest overall side effect rate of the big three. But why does surgery have side effects to it? Well, first, you're opening your body up, so you run risk of infection. There's plenty of things with that, but also remember we talked and opened the seminar up with, is a tumor your body doing the right thing at the right time given the situation? In fact, specifically, is it encapsulating the cancer to hold it in space? So if somebody goes in there, even with the absolute best of intentions, and they cut and they don't get every single cancer cell, which, I mean, how could you, as small as they are? Even if you get all the tumor, if you don't get the surrounding cancer cells, your body, to try and heal the area that was just cut, increases vascularization, it increases blood flow, aka it increases the amount of highways and transportation systems to other parts of the body. So somebody who has surgery that doesn't quote unquote get it all, and again, you can make the debate of how do they know for sure that they got it all. They actually can increase the spread throughout the body if it's not all killed and if the immune system is still too inhibited. So I'm not saying don't have surgery. What I'm saying is realize that if you can do things, for instance, to shrink the tumors, if you can get your body killing the smaller parts of the cancer before you have it removed, if these are things that often people don't think about. They say, I had it taken care of. You hear stuff like that a lot. I had it taken care of. And the reality is you're still living in the same environment that caused it in the first place or allowed it to grow in the first place. So all I'm imploring you to do is to think about it and potentially make changes, make more good habits to try and avoid having this happen more often. Possibly the treatment makes sense, but what can you do to build health in your body? Number 2, chemotherapy. The simplest thing, if you're not too familiar, chemotherapy circulates through your body and kills all actively dividing cells. So it's going to kill. That's why people can lose their hearing. That's why your hair falls out. because your hair cells are multiplying. That's why people can have damage to their skin, their internal organs. You talk about chemo burns to like your blood vessels and stuff like that, because it kills all actively dividing cells. And so chemotherapy has a risk for what's called secondary cancers, which means the same treatment that cured or killed the cancer previously, the side effect is it actually can cause cancers. And so, there are things, even if you're going to use chemotherapy, one thing is called a Greek test, where they actually take your cancer and they test it. You might know this already, but many chemotherapies or chemotherapy in general, you're often given a blend of several different types, kind of like different antibiotics or different types. A Greek test is something where they can look to see which type of chemotherapy kills the cancer most effectively, and therefore they don't give you a blend. In my mind, it's something that should just be standard practice, but it's currently not. And why is it currently not? You'll have to make your own assumptions on that. But the reality is that whether you choose to do chemo or not, your risk of secondary cancers goes up significantly when you do chemo. It's a part of it. It damages your body. And again, can it be life-saving? Of course. Some people are going to watch this, and think, well, what, I didn't have a choice, or it's not personal. We're talking about things as a concept, and there just is a reality with that. Similarly, with radiation, what radiation does is it's in a different way. Instead of circling through your entire body like chemotherapy does, it's isolated. So for instance, if you're having chemotherapy, or not chemotherapy, radiation that goes through your, breast, or through a tumor that's right here, again, that may be, in fact, it's arguably significantly safer. But while they try and isolate it to the depth in your body that the tumor, the tissue in front of that and then the tissue behind it are also often damaged. So yes, they're isolating it to the tumor, and yes, it may be necessary, but the reality is that, for instance, with breast cancer, your likelihood of having lung cancer goes up because it's the same area, or secondary cancers in the skin or the surrounding tissues, or that sort of thing. So again, I'm not saying you should or shouldn't do these things. The most aggressive anti-conventional treatment will say it's cutting, poisoning, and burning, that the radiation burns your body. But to me, it's aggressive. There's a time and a place for things, but I just think so often people go too aggressive too quickly, or they don't look at their other options and take responsibility for what they can change, like starving the cancer with changing their diet, like exercise, like detoxification, like other programs like Greek tests, so that you use less chemotherapy. I mean, there are just so many things, like vitamin C IVs that are shown to, for many types of cancer, really decrease the cancer or help your immune system kill it off more effectively. There's just lots and lots of other things that you can do. And so, we want to transition here into, again, building health and building an unbreakable immune system. And so when I say transition, we have to remember that why do a lot of people make decisions once things are urgent? They often make decisions out of fear. And I encourage you to think about that, because if frequently when we're making decisions out of fear, we know that those decisions aren't necessarily always the best overall, and yet people can frequently second guess them or regret the decision later. So the best way to do any of this is to never have it. Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice to know that your healthy behaviors prevented something? How nice would it be to know that all the grass-fed meat you bought prevented you from having a heart attack? Wouldn't it be nice to know if all the fruits and vegetables you ate this year, and the smoothies you made, and switching to bone broth instead of cereal, or switching to organic coffee, or getting adjustments? Or wouldn't it be nice if you got a like an email at the end of the year that said you added 3 years to your life with your behaviors this year, you avoided cancer at age 58 this year? It would sure be nice. The tough part is we have absolutely no idea. We don't know what we prevent, which makes it a philosophical discussion, which is why, in my opinion, when you think about these or when you watch these master classes, what you want to do is sit down after, put your action steps in play for what you know you want to do and what you know you need to do, make it a non-emotional decision, and then set your minimum standards so that you continue to follow through even if after it's not exciting. Like, do you buy ice cream at the grocery store? Is your fridge full of beer? Do you I don't know. Do you order juice with breakfast? Do you cook with cheap cooking oils? Like, what are your minimum standards that you're just absolutely not going to do? And so let's kind of rattle through some of the keys. And the first one is really focusing on the nutritional keys. When you talk about cancer, one of the things that is so beautiful about our bodies is the term epigenetics. Epigenetics means the on and off switch for turning your genes on and off. The Human Genome Project proved that essentially every single person in this country and really nation or internationally has cancer genes in their body. So, there are 2 to 5% that are unavoidable, that are just flat out bad luck, but 95 to 98% of cancers you can turn on and off. And so, for instance, cancer fighting nutrients, they tend to be the bright, vibrant colors, cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, stuff like that, carrots, peppers, cancer fighting nutrients, eating enough fruits and vegetables in your diet and eating organic whenever possible, vastly cancer preventing, avoiding refined oils, even at a restaurant. Like, one of the things I try and do as a parent is I like to take my kids to breakfast and have one-on-one time. The tough part for me is I hate going to breakfast. I just don't like eating lower quality food. And there are certain places in town like the Norwegian and other places that do have higher quality stuff. But when you have these things, like for instance, most of that food is cooked in refined oils. And so requesting that it at least be cooked in butter, stuff like that, going to places like like I mentioned, the Norwegian, where, at least you can get cage-free eggs and stuff like that. You can get more organic stuff. You can get salad instead of toast. You can, there's certain places you can go that give you more options, but most places are cooked with refined oils. And if they're in your house, they need to go. If they're in a restaurant, you can try and order without them. Order it at least being cooked in butter. We spent a lot of time talking about how sugar feeds cancer on the first one, but avoiding refined sugars and refined carbohydrates. Berries are one of the lowest glycemic, meaning don't raise your blood sugar, highest nutrient density things. Making a breakfast smoothie in the morning with healthy fats like coconut milk, almond milk, stuff like that. Putting a scoop of the Max Living grass-fed protein and then frozen organic berries is a great way to start your day. And by the way, some of you are on here like, holy crap, this is a lot of information. What do I do with all this? If you're a current client, we've extended, instead of just one complimentary nutritional consult with Mackenzie, right now, and at least through 2024, we're upping that to 2 per year. So if you're somebody who's watched this, that's met with Mackenzie in the past, but knows that you really just need some help refining it, you maybe need to talk supplements, you need to talk about the advanced plan or eating programs or a health issue that you have that you want to help with nutrition, schedule an appointment with Mackenzie at the office. She's a certified nutritionist. She's certified with Max Living. She's got a college degree with 4 years in nutrition. Brilliant resource. And just, it's something that you can so effectively utilize. But, again, berries are anti-cancerous. Wild caught cold water fish, especially smaller fish, that's a big deal. Farm raised fish tend to have a lot more toxins. So wild caught fish, there was a study on salmon that showed that wild caught salmon had twice as many omega-3s and 4 times the amount of vitamin D in their meat when people ate it versus conventionally or farm raised salmon. Other things that you can do either using this in your cooking, like cinnamon, turmeric, spices tend to be full of antioxidants. So for flavoring food, cheap processed food is flavored with sugar. Healthier foods and nicer foods are often flavored with spices. And so spices tend to be full, whether that's garlic, whether that's, again, there's so many things. Citrus, full of vitamin B and vitamin C. And again, one nice thing about citrus is less necessary to get organic because you're not eating the peel in most cases. If you go through the shopping trip or Nutrition 101, you'll learn more about that. But like said, for some of these things, vitamin C, vitamin D, curcumin plus, these are some supplements. If you are, or daily defense, these are supplements that if you really know if you've had cancer in the past and are trying to stay in remission, or if you just know you're trying to strengthen your immune system. The ironic thing, most people don't take those supplements for cancer prevention. They often take them for immune system building. They take them to boost their immune system because that is really where how your body fights cancer. Second, detoxify your body and your home. You can't avoid every toxin. It's one of the most frustrating things. Breathing air, it drove me crazy during the pandemic. All the amount of chemicals that were put everywhere, like that, it wasn't going to have so many side effects, and you could maybe even argue more long-term issues than what we were trying to avoid. The solution might have been worse than the problem in many cases. And again, not here to debate that. Some of you agree emphatically. Some people watching probably violently disagree, and that's fine. But either way, pollution, chemicals, these things don't just kill the bacteria on the counter. They kill bacteria on your hands. They absorb into your skin. They wreak havoc in your gut. There's just a reality that you can't avoid them everywhere. So you need to support yourself. This is one of the reasons I like our vitamin D so much, because it also has a probiotic component, which can help with repair of the damage to your gut that happens just daily, unless you're eating absolutely perfectly. Things that are emitted in the into the air, again, they get banned, but there's so many more that are produced over time. Roundup, I'll tell you, while it is absolutely more work, we have never sprayed Roundup in the 10 plus years I've owned my house. It's a pain in the butt to weed. Using soap and water sprays and stuff like that are way less effective. But it also means that when my kids run around barefoot, there's none of this chemical that absorbs into your skin. And there are certainly, as you may have seen, all sorts of lawsuits and class action lawsuits on how glyphosate, or the common name is Roundup, is linked to cancer. I mean, just massive, massive, massive things have come out over the last 5 to 10 years. So use it if you want to. I know plenty of people who know about it and still do, but there is just a reality that if you're trying to avoid it, especially in places that you're going to touch. I don't think anybody doesn't know that cigarettes and other smoking causes damage to the body. But here's a couple other ones. I've already talked enough about processed foods and mentioned Nutrition 101, but water and cleaning products. So water specifically, you need to filter your water. You can use whole house water filtrations. You can use reverse osmosis. You can use, carbon filters, which is much more, cost effective. I do have reverse osmosis in my house. Culligan Services is it and changes the filters twice a year, and tests our water for pollutants. And that's Rockford City tap water. There's a reality that there's plenty of pollutants. And additionally, we talk about drugs, pharmaceuticals, prescriptions being chemicals. When your body processes that and then you flush those down the toilet, your body actually, you release some of that back into the environment. And it's been shown that there are quite a few different chemicals and drugs and even prescription stuff in tap water. So very important to filter it, very important to, you can also have places deliver, like if at the office, we have that, the 5-gallon jugs of water, that's spring water. So it's bottled at the source, spring water. But again, lowest cost thing for water filtration is like a Brita or a carbon filter. There are increasing qualities, like having a filter put next to your sink. And then if you want to go to the next level, doing reverse osmosis or something like that. and or whole house water filtration systems. I'll just use this word, and then if you need to look it up, look it up. But chlorine disinfectant byproducts is something that linked to cancer, frankly. Cleaning products, if you can smell it or it touches your skin, it goes into your skin, at least 25% of it. This is why we talk about avoiding makeups, cosmetics, conventional antiperspirants, but things like bleach and traditional household chemicals are all carcinogenic. They cause cancer. Even though you might need to disinfect or clean your counter, there's so many at this point, for instance, like essential oils blends with vinegar and essential oils that you can use for cleaning sprays. There's natural laundry detergents that can be bought at grocery stores like Target or Woodman's. I mean, there's just a lot of options, but whether you choose to use those options is up to you, but they are carcinogenic. So if you're not thinking about it this way, it's just a reality. And again, I have to always put this disclaimer: you need to consult your doctor or safely and effectively do this. But the number one carcinogen, the number one toxin consumed in America is medication, prescription medication prescribed by doctors, because our country takes more drugs than any other country in the world by far. Massive side effects, damage to the body. And if we continue to look at ourselves, and I'm not saying me or you that are watching, but people in general, if they continue to look at it like somebody else needs to solve my problem, or if they don't take responsibility for their health, likely cancer will remain the number 2 or possibly become the number 1 cause of death in this country. I think there has to be a mental shift. If you look at this, I'm going to make this big for just a moment, but you could check on this. If you want to look at your cleaning products or cosmetics, you can use this. I think this is the Environmental Working Group, which shows, you can basically download their app and they'll tell you the severity of which products are the most carcinogenic. So it's a really nice resource. Last key, and we're going to wrap it up here. So key number 3, de-stress, sleep, and align your spine. This is probably the shortest one. We talk about stress. I say to people all the time, whether they come in with a job loss, stress at work, stress with their kids, a death in the family, you can't always control stress in your life, but it's important to take stress off your body, whether that's quality sleep, meditation, chiropractic adjustments, not putting sugar in, whatever it is. What mental stress, worrying is a big deal. I think there's something to be said for having a component of your spiritual health. But looking at things that cause it, news and current events. I can't believe, if I'm being very transparent, I can't believe people still watch the news. I think it's a habit more than anything else. So frequently it's proven to be false, fake, lies, altered truths, things that just make you, if as much access as we have to the world, yes, it's important to be relevant. I guess you can make that argument, but if you worry about the rest of the world and don't control your internal environment, that stress may kill you. Everybody's got a system for it. I personally subscribed to a newsletter. It's a daily email, but I only read it on Sundays. And I'll tell you what, I haven't ever watched the news regularly. I have not watched the news in any fashion on any social media site in over 5 years. And somehow I can stay up to date with once a week email reads. I'm not saying that's right for you, but there is a reality and it's non-debatable. News and current events cause stress. So consider turning it off. Second one is social media. How often do you scroll? How much do you scroll? I mean, you're watching this on social media, which I certainly appreciate. I think, there are ways to utilize social media for the good. But the way they have it set up, and there's a couple of really good Netflix specials on this, just how social media, how AI technology has algorithms that screw up your happiness, create dopamine drips, create jealousy, create negative feelings towards self, create body image issues. Most of social media is very, very negative. And if you haven't ever done a social media detox, something to consider, meaning turn it off, delete it off your phone. Don't look at it for 2 weeks or a month or whatever it is. And lastly, work. So A lot of times you can control your work environment by the way that you act, the way that you prepare. In our office, we talk a lot about morning and evening routines, getting up early, getting your mind right, getting up before your kids, reading your Bible or devotional, your book of the month, praying, meditating, like setting the tone, the energy that you give off can really, really change the course of your day. And so I'd encourage you to just think about what type of energy do you get up, pound too much coffee and rush out the door? Or do you go to bed early and get up plenty early and start your day right? Start your day in the Word, start your day with whatever works for you. But what do you do to set the tone? Or do you need to make a career move or a shift for something that can, bring you better health? We already talked about sleep. Sleep has a cumulative deprivation on your body. You may have seen this, and we're not, but lastly, and I've already stated it, and we're not going to overdo it, but if you think about how do cells replicate, well, they replicate most effectively if the brain can tell them how to replicate most effectively. And how does that happen? Through your nerve system. Your brain sends messages from your brain down your spinal cord, out your nerves to every cell, organ, and tissue in your body. If you have impeded, impinged, or negative function in that area, you're more than likely going to create dysfunction or dis-ease. And so this is where chiropractic care, the younger you are, the better off you are. For so many people that are active clients in the office, think about what if you started 10 years ago, or what if your parents started bringing you? How many things could you have prevented over the years? If your family had a different mindset, more holistic. And there's some of you watching that always have, but there's just a reality that your nerve system controls every function, and if you're not treating and managing it, just like food, just like exercise, it is a key component to your overall health and prevention of disease. So the mystery word for today is killers. Mystery word is killers. Hope you found this two-part series very thought-provoking, but more than anything, I hope you take action. And my encouragement again is to take time, look at your notes, pick the action steps that you're going to take, and then follow through. Create minimum standards for your life, and you will have better health. Have an excellent day.